Okay, let's jump right in. Think about your microwave oven at home. Seems pretty ordinary, right?
Yeah, just for heating up leftovers, mostly.
Exactly. But what if the basic physics behind that box could actually help us understand something? Well, much more disturbing.
Ah, I think I see where you're going with this.
Today, we're doing a deep dive. We're looking into microwave and electromagnetic weapons, the real fundamentals.
Right, how they actually work.
Yeah, how they work, what people, victims reportedly experience, and, the bigger picture, what this kind of technology really means.
And we're drawing on Dr. Catherine Horton's work for this, unpacking her insights.
We are trying to cut through the jargon, maybe find some surprising facts along the way.
It's definitely striking, isn't it, how everyday tech can mirror principles used in, well, weapons. Makes it feel more tangible, less like sci-fi.
Totally agree. So let's start right at the beginning. Forget the scary stuff for a second. What are microwaves, fundamentally? Like, compared to light, we can see.
Okay, so basically, microwaves are just a type of electromagnetic wave. They're on the same spectrum as, visible light, X-rays, radio waves, all that stuff.
Okay.
The main difference is their frequency, and that frequency dictates how much energy each little wave packet carries.
And the intensity, that's just how many waves are packed together.
Exactly. More waves, more intensity, more power concentrated in one spot.
Got it. And how these waves interact with different materials is super important here, right? Like passing through walls or being blocked.
Absolutely critical. So high intensity microwave beams, they can actually zip right through things like brick and concrete fairly easily.
Okay, wow.
But, and this is key, like fundamental, they cannot pass through metal. Metal stops them.
Ah, okay. Which brings us back to the kitchen microwave.
Perfect example.
The sides are metal, obviously, and the front window has that dark grid-like mesh thing.
Right. The metal meshing, it's not just decoration. The holes in that mesh are super specifically sized.
So,
They're small enough to essentially absorb or block the microwaves bouncing around inside the oven.
but big enough to let visible light through so you can see if your soup's boiling over.
Exactly. It keeps the microwaves in, but lets the light out. Safety feature.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And it shows how different materials react differently, doesn't it?
Totally. Like, think about sitting in a glass conservatory. You get warm from the sun, right? That's
Yeah.
infrared and visible light coming through.
Yeah.
But you don't really get a tan because the glass blocks most of the ultraviolet light. Different waves, different interactions.
Or like a Pyrex dish in the microwave. The dish stays relatively cool, but the food inside gets piping hot.
Precisely. Because the food, especially if it's liquidy, like soup, absorbs the microwave energy much more effectively than the glass dish does.
And that absorption, that's really the core mechanism here, isn't it? How microwaves actually do something.
It is. And the key takeaway, the thing Dr. Horton really emphasizes, is incredibly simple. Microwaves are fundamentally tuned to heat water.
Water.
Think about it. Try heating a dense steak versus, say, a mug of hot chocolate in your microwave.
Right. The hot chocolate heats up way faster, gets really hot, bubbles up sometimes.
Because it's mostly water, liquid water. It absorbs that microwave energy super efficiently. The steak has water too, but it's bound up in the solid tissue, takes longer to heat through.
Okay, I see the connection now. The human body,
Mm-hmm.
it's what, like 80% water?
Roughly, yeah. So that basic principle, microwaves heat water really well, suddenly doesn't seem so innocent when you think about the human body.
It makes us kind of inherently vulnerable to this specific type of energy.
That's the chilling realization. And understanding that simple physics, the oven and the water heating, is actually the key to understanding how this tech gets weaponized.
It's not some huge leap into science fiction then.
Surprisingly, no. The step from a kitchen appliance to, well, a potential weapon is disturbingly small, according to the source.
Wow. Okay, so how small are we talking? How does that basic microwave tech get weaponized based on Dr. Horton's explanation?
Well, think about the part inside your microwave that actually makes the waves. It's called a magnetron.
Okay.
It's actually tiny and pretty cheap, like maybe 20 bucks, 20 euros, something like that.
Seriously, that cheap?
Yeah. And Dr. Horton describes how you could, theoretically, take that magnetron out, remove the oven's shielding, and then focus its beam, maybe using something as simple as a metal funnel,
Just a funnel.
to direct the energy. And suddenly, you've potentially got a directed energy weapon.
Okay, that's unnerving. What kind of effects would something like that have
Yeah.
on, a person?
Well, externally, directed microwaves could heat the skin rapidly, cause burns, make tissue bursts. Think about cooking something organic in a microwave. Sometimes it pops or splits
Yeah,
or...
like a sausage or something.
Exactly. It could cause charcoaling, severe burns,
Yeah.
basically cooking tissue from the outside.
Nasty. But you mentioned something else, internal damage.
Yes, and this is where it gets really, really disturbing. If the beams are focused correctly, or if you use multiple beams crossing over cross beams, she calls them, you can concentrate the energy inside the body. So the maximum heating effect happens deep inside, not necessarily on the skin.
So you wouldn't see a burn on the outside.
Not necessarily, no. But internally, you could have massive damage. Organs getting cooked, tissues breaking down, heart attacks induced by heat, maybe even, liquefying brain tissue.
Oh my God.
And these focused beams, they can pass through windows pretty easily. Walls too, though that might need more power.
This is...
Yeah.
Okay, we absolutely have to include the warning here. The source is very clear. Do not try this. Messing with microwave components is incredibly dangerous.
Yeah.
Reflected beams could be lethal.
Extremely dangerous. Absolutely do not attempt anything like this. It's vital people understand that.
Right. So if that's possible with essentially modified home parts, what about military stuff? Proper purpose-built weapons.
That leads us to things like the active denial system, the ADS. You might have seen pictures or videos.
You got the big dish thing, sometimes mounted on a truck.
Yeah, that's the one. Often described as looking like a really big gun or a satellite dish on a Humvee or a tank.
And the official line is that it's for crowd control, right? Makes people feel like their skin is on fire, so they run away.
That's the advertised purpose, yes. It emits a beam designed to cause an unbearable heating sensation on the skin, supposedly temporary, making crowds disperse without lasting harm.
But the source questions that narrative.
Strongly. Dr. Horton raises serious concerns. Is it just temporary pain? Or is it delivering a dose of radiation that could have longer-term effects, like being carcinogenic? And does it really only affect the very surface of the skin? And here's maybe the most shocking part, the power levels.
Okay.
Those videos you see where soldiers test it and jump away in pain, that unbearable pain setting.
Yeah.
According to the source, that's a very low power setting. Comparable, she says, to defrosting a deep frozen birthday cake.
You're kidding. Defrosting a cake.
That's the comparison used. Now imagine turning the power dial up just a little bit from there.
What happens then?
It apparently transforms from a crowd dispersal tool into, well, a super microwave.
Super microwave.
Capable, according to the claims, of making hearts or eyes literally pop in a second, burning bodies internally and externally, igniting body fat, causing people to faint instantly, basically charcoaling a human being very, very quickly.
That's horrific.
The source explicitly calls it a human incineration device at higher setting.
A human incineration device.
Yeah.
Just processing that phrase.
Yeah.
It makes you think very differently about seeing that equipment deployed, even for crowd control.
Absolutely. It raises huge ethical questions, doesn't it? About oversight, about who controls that dial. The source mentions the terrifying thought of, psychopaths at the dial, or maybe soldiers suffering from PTSD being put in charge of something with that kind of lethality in the civilian areas.
Yeah, the potential for misuse is staggering.
And there are these historical accounts referenced, disturbing ones.
Like what?
Testimonies attributed to Iraqi doctors who reportedly found remains after certain conflicts that didn't look like typical casualties.
How so?
Described as looking like leather and heaps of bones, or like charcoal things with some bones. Not bodies, but something else.
Leather and charcoal.
Again, think back to the basic microwave experiment. If you microwave organic stuff for too long, what happens? It can dry out completely, become leathery, or it can just turn to carbon, to charcoal.
So that anecdotal evidence, it sounds chillingly consistent with what a high-powered microwave weapon could do to a human body.
It forces you to ask the question, doesn't it? Could the ADS or something similar have been used in ways that were, well, denied, as the name implies, especially if the results look so unusual?
It certainly makes you wonder. And bringing this back to the present day, understanding all this, the basic physics, the potential of the weapons, how does it help us understand claims from people today, like the targeted individuals?
It provides a potential framework. When victims of what's often called organized stalking report being, quote, shot at in their own home or feeling like they're being irradiated, knowing that microwave beams can pass through walls, can cause internal heating without external marks, can induce sudden health crises. It makes those claims seem, well, at least physically plausible within the known capabilities of such technology.
And it's interesting, too, that many of these individuals report that shielding helps. like putting metal sheeting or even just aluminum foil on windows or walls seems to lessen the effects they feel.
Which lines up perfectly with the fundamental principle we started with: metal blocks microwaves.
It does. So while the whole phenomenon of organized stalking is complex and controversial, that specific detail, the reported effectiveness of metal shielding, matches the physics we've discussed.
It's a consistent data point, and it leads to another uncomfortable question raised by the source. If, hypothetically, intelligence agencies were involved in organized stalking activities, as some allege,
Would they have access to military-grade tech like the ADS or similar devices?
the source seems to suggest the answer is likely yes, which would mean the odd symptoms reported by some victims could potentially align with exposure to these kinds of weapons.
So wrapping this up, where does this leave us? What should you, listening to this, take away?
I think it's the scale, isn't it? We started with a kitchen microwave, something totally familiar.
Yeah, heating soup.
And we ended up talking about military hardware potentially capable of incinerating people, possibly without leaving obvious external wounds. All based on the same fundamental physics, how microwaves interact with water and are blocked by metal.
It's quite a journey,
Mm.
and it really forces a difficult question, I think. In a world where weapons like this exist, weapons that can be invisible, that can pass through walls, that can cause devastating harm without maybe leaving a clear trace.
How do we manage that?
Exactly. What kind of oversight is even possible? How does society deal with technology that can inflict such damage, potentially covertly?
It's a heavy thought. What accountability looks like in the face of potentially invisible harm.
Definitely something to think about long after this deep dive ends.